Salt Lake City is like 3 days away, I think, at this point, at the time of recording. And, well, let's do a meta breakdown and an analysis and kind of a preview, I guess. Going into Brisbane, we talked about Arceus being very strong, Path decks being very strong, and I thought that Mew would win, and I was right. Natalie Miller was able to take down the entire event with Mew VMAX, and it was one of the, most unique lists we've seen in a long time. A very consistent, a very straightforward, very aggro list. Um, Seems like the benchmark for kind of how you're supposed to look at the Mew VMAX deck moving forward. Natalie and company all kind of killed it. They did really well. So congrats to them. Huge, huge, huge congrats. I've talked on in depth on like a lot of podcasts and a lot of stuff so far about my general thoughts in the meta, kind of how to prepare going forward. But in general, this feels like a format where Mew is definitely a very skill intensive deck because it's got a huge target on its back, and if you don't know how to play it correctly, into every matchup, it's really difficult because most decks just need to have a game plan against you. And if you don't, like pop off on every metric, then sometimes you will just find yourself stumbling in that late game or that like last bit of a game. So that being said, Mew is number one in terms of decks going into this format. Um, Salt Lake City compared to Brisbane, which was 8 rounds top eight, which is definitely something to consider for your deck list. This is going to be a 9 round into a day two +5 probably. I don't think we're going to hit the threshold for the +6 rounds into a day one and a day two in top eight format. So what that means is on day one, everyone will play 9 rounds of Swiss, best of 3, 50 minutes. At the end of 9 rounds, everyone with a 6-2-1 or 19 match point record will advance to the second day. Now, in the second day, your records do carry over, and at that point, your record will then we'll play 5 more rounds of Swiss on the second day for everyone who made it that far, and then after 14 rounds total of Swiss, the top 8 players will be decided, and then we will then play out a single elimination best of 3 bracket to determine our regional champion. So that being said, if you are heading into this event with a goal of getting championship points or making day two or whatever your goal may be, set that realistically going in, because I think there are certain decks that are good for getting points and there are certain decks for trying to win the event. For example, I think playing an Arceus or Mew deck is probably your best shot at winning the event, but you could play a deck like a Moltres Inteleon or Bird Box or even Rapid Strike Malamar. So one of those decks, Durant, some of those decks I feel a little bit easier to beat worse players, but you don't beat all the good players necessarily. But keep in mind, there's only like going to be like 15, 20 players in the room that are like of a caliber that might be able to stop you with those kinds of decks. And you might win every other game besides those and say you're doing fine. You might still finish 5-3-1. You might sneak into day two at 6-2-1 with like Durant, for example. But 5-3-1 should be enough to garner some points. That should be enough to put you in a position that if you were going for the World Championships and you wanted to net like 50 points today, that's a very excellent thing to do. That being said, okay, Mew, number one problem for everyone. Either you're playing Mew or you're trying to beat Mew. There is no in between, I feel like. There's going to be a stark difference between bad Mew players and good Mew players at this event. So if you are going in and you have a game plan against Mew, but you're like, maybe it won't work against a good player, and you're not trying to win the event, maybe you'll be okay, because I guarantee you'll probably hit 1 to 2 bad Mew players throughout the event. I think my estimate is probably 2 to 3 Mews on day one at the very least, and then the more you win, the more you might hit Mew. RCS decks are going to be very popular. There's a lot of people who are favoring playing RCS compared to playing Mew because RCS gives you more options, has a better game plan into a lot of other things, and it's not as skill intensive. I want to say it's still pretty skill intensive, but it's very flexible in how you build it and how you play it. The RCS Path deck we saw coming out of RCS Path Inteleon, coming out of Mitch and Henry over in Australia in Brisbane. Very cool deck there with the Judge added in to disrupt Rotom phones as well, which I really like actually. And then the Dark Inteleon version that Peter Lowe piloted to a third place at Brisbane, also a very cool deck. I'll have a thing up here to the video if you guys want to check out the top 16 decks so far that happened in Brisbane, so you guys have a better idea of kind of feeling it out and figuring it out yourself. But those decks will be probably more popular. RCS like plus X has always been very good in this format, and I think RCS plus X will be a very commonality like throughout this format and at Salt Lake City. Like I think people, there's going to be, yes, there's like probably like 100, 200 people who are monitoring Brisbane results, and that's going to severely affect how they play or what they play. But a majority of people are newer to the game, and a majority of people like to stick with what they know, and they don't like pivot around and change via metagame. So they're going to stick with what they know. If they've been playing Arceus Inteleon since day one of this format, they're not going to change it a week before regionals when they don't have the time to test or practice and real life stuff gets in the way. So yeah, people are going to stick with what they know, whether it be Mew, whether it be this, whether it be Single Strike. I think Single Strike is a very cool third option across the board. I think it's one of the few decks that can keep up tempo with Mew very accurately and have a good chance into RCS as well. Yes, the Dunsparce does pose a little bit of a threat and it's a kind of a problem, but you have Umbreon. Just bring it up, pop it. If you're playing Gengar, you can just Oko through RCS with your Gmax Swallow Up, and you're not actually getting a one-shot in return. So a lot of factors go into Single Strike that I think it's a decent deck. It just isn't where it's supposed to be. I think past those three, I don't think any deck will win the tournament past those three decks. Like an Arceus variant, it's a cop-out. Yes, I'm saying like Arceus Duraludon, Arceus Suicune, like all these things get lumped into one, but Arceus is Arceus, right? Like it's just such a broad category that you can't generalize it. Like it's just difficult to put into a box. Now that being said, I do think if you're going to Salt Lake City, have a good time, have fun. I know this meta discussion is a little bit worse or shorter than I'd like it to be, but stick with what you know, have fun. Check in Friday if you can to get your wristband, clear your COVID checks, all that stuff. Because coming in Saturday morning, it's probably going to be a pretty big line of people who are driving in, flying in late, whatever, you know the deal. So top three decks, those are there to counter. And I think playing a single prize deck like Malamar or Arceus or Inteleon, Moltres, those kinds of things, you won't finish a best of three, and that's kind of the biggest worry for me. Like you can win a game one, and then all of a sudden your deck, just based on innate inconsistencies, will not finish a game two. Or if you lose a game one, it's very, very difficult to win a game two sometimes, unless your opponent and you are both playing like lightning fast. And I don't know why they'd play lightning fast if they won a game one, because a lot of the time these games with single prize decks, because you have to take all six prizes, will take close to 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And that eats up so much time of the clock. So wear a watch, but nothing with a digital face if you're heading in. I don't, because I'm a little bit superstitious, but it is good practice as a player. Practice writing down your prize cards, all that good stuff. Shuffling at your desk, whatever, like get a feel for your deck. Put on a new coat of sleeves before the tournament. I don't care if it's slippery. I don't want anyone getting dinged up for like sleeve penalties. Put on a fresh coat of sleeves, regardless of what's going to happen. And then I think that might be like it in terms of what I wanted to talk about. I know it's not a lot of meta discussion here. I know it's not like groundbreaking, ground-shattering news, but hopefully someone breaks the envelope over at Utah. My group has been trying a couple things. It's not been working. I know other groups have been trying their own stuff, and it's not been working. But if not in Utah, I think we'll see something crazy in Liverpool. The Control Kings, Alessandro and Sandro, will be over there in Liverpool, making some magic happen. And then that will be transferred to EUIC, where I think the envelope will get pushed, and every player will work that much harder because it's an international event compared to just a regionals. I think a lot of players are going to play it safe, considering it's our first event back in the States. And players just want to go and enjoy themselves and get a feel for, the game again. So that being said, I didn't plug anything. I should probably do that. If you guys enjoyed the video, obviously like and subscribe. I will do these meta discussions on the Wednesday before regional. I think is like the best time to do it. So that's what I'll probably do, like Wednesday before a big event. And if you guys have not checked out my vlog, I would really appreciate that and constructive feedback. You guys showed a lot of love. I really, really appreciate it. I have a lot of really cool ideas to film for in Salt Lake City. Obviously, I'm learning and editing and the editing process and stuff like that, so we'll grow together. And hopefully I have more vlogs because I really enjoy doing them. And it's something that I watched a lot. I watch a lot of for other YouTubers, regardless of the game, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, poker even. So it's just something that I think is cool to get a look into the world of these other people. So thank you guys. I'm gonna dip. Good luck in Salt Lake City. Let me know what you're playing. If you guys see me, come say hi. Yeah. Bye.